Thanks for coming on to my website here and checking out my video introduction. It seems like now in this world we deal with a lot of people. We don't ever get a chance to meet them necessarily. So I thought it would be kind of nice to do a video introduction so that you could at least meet me and see me. I consult with people who are borrowers for typically interesting situations that either the property or the borrower for some reason doesn't fit the normal mode with a normal lending institution, a bank or whatever. I deal with unusual properties. If there's some issues with maybe a building permit's not finished, or there's some wrinkle in an appraisal that a lender doesn't like, those kinds of things. Often I can arrange or find a lender for a borrower or a property without even an appraisal, and a lot of times don't need a credit report, those kinds of things. That'll give you some idea about how I work, and it can be any kind of property. It can be a residential property if it's for business use. It can be farms, land, ranches, apartment buildings, industrial, commercial, mixed use, mobile home parks. The whole gambit of property can be involved. The key is equity. Typically, I won't be able to find a funder for more than about 65% of the value, and it would be probably more like 50% if it was agricultural land or a big ranch, and if it was a very rural property, it might even be less than 50%. If you've got 160 acres up in the mountaintop, it may be difficult to get you half of the value in a loan. However, I have managed to arrange some pretty interesting loans in some fairly interesting scenarios. Don't be afraid to ask if there's equity. Typically it's a property that's already owned and somebody wants to refinance, but often if it's a purchase and there's some consideration from a seller or something, again, it's all about equity. One of the reasons that I'm acting as a consultant now, after having been a real estate broker for 40 plus years, is that I do maintain a residence often in Mexico. And so in order to comply with all of the rules and regulations to keep a broker's license active, I have to have an office 24/7 basically in California and be available on a day or two notice. Now that's just not practical. I mean, I'm not going to be sitting around in the dead of winter in Northern California just in case, when I could be in Mazatlan where I am now, and I spend a fair amount of time. For those very uncomplicated reasons, that's why I'm consulting now and I'm not actually acting as a broker. However, I've been arranging and sourcing out private money loans for a long time, and I do have some wonderful contacts, and typically the way it'll happen is I'll get your information, I'll take a look at it, I have a form I can send you, where if you already have a package, you'll send that to me, and then I'll think about who might be a lender for you, and I will contact them, maybe one or two, so that you might have an opportunity to speak to more than one person. I will send them your information, and then they typically will contact you in terms of talking to you about price and terms and those kinds of things, because those are the kinds of things that either a direct lender or a broker would discuss. And at the point where I feel like I can maybe help you, I'll put together a very simple one-page fee agreement, consulting agreement. I'll send that to you, you'll sign it, and then we'll submit that to escrow, and it'll be paid from escrow. Once in a great while, I may ask for a small retainer. That's very unusual, but if it's going to be a very complicated scenario and it's going to take a lot of time for me, I may ask for a token retainer, depending on the size of the transaction. If you're looking for $100,000 or $200,000, I may only ask you for a $500 retainer, because I want to know you're serious. If you're looking for $500,000 or $1 million, I may ask you for a $1,000 retainer. That's not a lot of money, but I just want to make sure that you're serious. Once again, thanks a lot for checking out my website and tuning into this introductory video. Once again, I think it's important that we know who we're dealing with. At least we get a chance to eyeball them. I mean, the days of meeting somebody at the coffee shop and talking about what you're going to do are kind of over in a lot of ways. And let's face it, we all do business in far-reaching places in the country. Even if I'm sitting in my office in Sacramento and you're in St. Louis or Florida, chances are not good that we're going to actually sit down and have coffee like the good old days. Thanks a lot for checking it out. Anxious to talk to you if you think we have something to work with. You've seen my website, so you know what's in there, and basically what I have done and what I'm able to do. You've got my contact information, you've got my phone numbers and email address. Email address is best because I really like to see in writing what you're trying to accomplish. So if you have some kind of a proposal, or even if it's a paragraph or two, if you don't have a complete presentation, just send me that. Send me what you have. And like I said, I'll send you a simple 2-3 page little questionnaire that'll answer a lot of key questions, and then we can move on from there. Thanks a lot for checking it out, and maybe I'll talk to you soon, and maybe I'll talk to you in California or Mazatlan, Mexico, or New York City. Thanks again. Have a great day.